They're at the pinnacle of their power, and, you know, we haven't seen the Targaryens like this before.
Well, yeah, Viserys is different. You know, he's certainly not someone who's driven by or corrupted by power. In that sense, he's a very honourable king, and you know, he's kind of fulfilling a prophecy that will come to fruition later on in the stories. But yeah, he's not the sort of typical Targaryen in the way that he's quick to kind of draw his sword or anything like that. You know, he's a peacetime king, and that's his job.
Brother?
Damon.
I have decided to name a new heir. I'm your heir. He's a sort of agent of chaos, really, but there's a sort of strange element of peace in him somewhere that he's searching for but he hasn't quite found. I think weirdly chaos brings him peace, you know, so he's after something other. I don't think he knows what it is yet. I'm not sure I do.
Well, I think in this, you see much more, quite simply, their family life. It is a family drama. It's quite domestic in its scale. And that's what I think makes it very relatable to an audience, because, you know, while it's dressed up differently and while there are dragons involved and all the rest of it going on and swords, we are all familiar with the world of the family. And I think that's one of its huge strengths, actually, especially in regard to the Targaryens.
I will not be made to choose between my brother and my daughter.
Well, you see them at their most vulnerable as well as at their most powerful in this season. You're aware of the intricacies between these familial bonds and also how they're perceived in the world. They're at the pinnacle of their power, and, you know, we haven't seen the Targaryens like this before.
It's a series that begins in the family home, so and I think there's like an assumption that this is a stable situation at the start of the series, which is perfectly hubristic. I think it's sort of that chaotic unraveling that this season tracks.
The thing is that they're at their height of their power right now, and there are lots of them.
Yes, that's the thing.
I don't know that they're necessarily different intrinsically.
No, because I mean, okay,
but there's just en masse.
So
maybe the crazy is dialed up super high.
Because obviously when we meet them in Game of Thrones, there's just the two of them left, so they don't have that confidence that comes with being. But when we meet them in this period of time, they are they think they're the top. Socially.
They're like the Romans, just on the cusp of the fall of the Roman Empire. Basically.
So they're confident, but they're still rife with envy, jealousy, and plotting and all that stuff.
Completely mad.
Yeah.
I think they certainly have a cultural reputation to them, but as with anybody in George's books, each individual is their own person. I think the Targaryens, as with any people, they're famous for those who have done the worst, and maybe not so famous for the good and honorable ones that have lived amongst their own kind. But the idea here is that you're not just born into a certain personality type simply because you have silver hair. Certainly, there are people in the Targaryen dynasty that are capable of extreme vileness and cruelty, but there were also truly great and honorable and good and decent people that lived in that line. And the great thing about having so many Targaryens in this series is we get to see all colors of personality amongst them.